Hey guys, it's Hayden here making another video. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to share kind of a ceremony, something that has been taught to me by my teacher. So I'm going to go ahead and get into it. So I'm just going to invite you guys into the space to join me in the process if you want to. But basically, what we're going to do is we're going to do kind of a cleansing first. And the goal of this is to bring us into a conscious state of being rather than a passive state of being, or sort of not being intentional with our actions. So what we're going to do, I've got some sage here, so we'll use this sage for cleansing. But first, I already have the sage lit a little bit. So we're going to thank Mother Earth for providing for us, for giving us what we need. I'm going to thank Sky Father for spirit and for the knowledge and wisdom he brings us as well. And then calling the 4 different directions. So there's the west, which is the ancestors, the north, which is heavenly beings and spirits and wisdom, things like that. The east is the future, the next generation, and the south is looking inward, introspection, self-reflection, things like that. And then the center direction, which is us, which is our spirit, our soul, our individual experience, and how it's connected to the rest of creation. So after calling all of those different directions, we do a quick cleansing. And I learned a way to smudge people, and usually what we do is we take into the mouth, take in the smoke to speak all the beautiful things, take into the eyes so you may see all the beautiful things, into the ears so you may hear all the beautiful things, into the heart, soul, spirit so you may be at one with all the beautiful things. And then we smudge the arms, the hands. And this ceremony is just to sort of cleanse anything, again, like bringing into an intentional state of being, letting go of anything that we don't necessarily want to have right now, and focus on just being present in the moment, in the space that we're in. For me, it's a very relaxing process, and I always feel better afterwards. Just intentionally doing that, connecting with the space. And may the universe surprise us, and may it be for our highest good. So that's the final part there. Cleansing the crown there. So we'll leave that there. I've got my bundle down here. So this is basically a shaman's kit of tools that they use for their work. There's other parts of my bundle as well that include a drum and rattles. And this will grow over time. Right now that's the size. It's kind of a snapshot representative of where I'm at in my journey and sort of what I've done. So the next thing I'm going to do in the sort of ceremony here is to use some of this water. It's just a combination of agua florida, which is Florida water or flower water, which you can buy. They use this in Peruvian shamanism quite a bit, if the camera will focus on it. I just got this off of Amazon, but this is what Iggy uses. I think my face is in the way. Alright, doesn't look like it's going to zoom in on it. But anyways, so take some of this, put it on my forehead. So the sage is cleansing, so that's removing anything that's negative or anything we don't want. And this is purifying, so this is adding something positive. So it's agua florida, It's got some sage in there as well, and a lot of intention. Intention is very important. I may cover intention a little bit in this video, or I may not. It just depends on how long the video ends up being doing this process here. So throughout this ceremony here, I'm focusing on myself, how I'm feeling, really connecting with the space and being grateful and thankful for you know, what I have, but also connecting to anything else that may be here, you know, the different directions and the spirits and things like that. If that's something you believe in, you know, if you don't believe in spirits or anything like that, maybe just believe and connect with something that makes you feel good. So maybe like a memory or a place, you know, something like that. It's just a nice little way to recenter yourself and do something physical as well as intentional to get you in the place where you want to be. So now that we have done that, we are now in ceremony. I do this, I haven't worked on a ton of people, but this is something I'll be incorporating when I work with people and when I facilitate whatever I facilitate if I'm doing something, because it just helps people to move into the space more and be more centered and grounded. The ego has a tendency to want to hold on to things, so when we do something like this, that is a ritual or some kind of process, it allows that ego to sort of calm down, and it allows the more intuitive mind, the more feeling part of ourselves to emerge, not in a necessarily like weak, vulnerable way, but just feeling like centered and grounded and more present to be able to experience whatever you want to experience. So now that we're in ceremony, I just want to say hello and invite us to maybe think about where we are in our lives. Think about what has been going on in our lives, how are we feeling, what are things we're doing well, what are things that we may want to improve in. I personally have been going through some things that have been difficult, but it's some things that have also been really pretty awesome and pretty cool to experience. As some of you have been following my journey, I've been through quite a lot of different things, like with depression and anxiety, and then some of you have seen my psychosis videos and things like that. Those are all experiences that I went through that I'm grateful for. Those are all things that led to where I am today, so I'm very grateful for those experiences, even though they were difficult at the time. And right now, I am currently dealing with a transition. I think that as we grow and as we change and as we develop as humans, as you know, as beings in this life, we go through different phases. We go through times where we're a child, and then we become an adult, and then we become maybe a parent, a grandparent. There's different roles that we have in our life. I'm not a parent, but I'm learning how to be myself. There's lots of rules and there's lots of conditioning that happens as we grow up, especially as children. The condition that we have depends on the environment. It depends on the the parents that we had. And there comes a point in time where we need to define ourselves as ourselves and not as what our parents think of us or what our environment thinks of us, whatever that environment may be, but defining who we are for ourselves. And that's a process I'm currently going through, and it's not easy. In a lot of indigenous cultures and a lot of cultures that sort of had a lot of ritual and ceremony and myth and things like that, they had a lot of things surrounding rites of passage and sort of a vision quest and things like that. And those different scenarios and different implemented challenges were designed to help people in that society to realize what role, or to come about an understanding of what role they were to play in that community. And we have that to some degree in our culture. It might be college, it might be maybe, your parents kick you out when you're 18. There's certain different rites of passage, but we don't necessarily have one process to help people understand that they have a certain role or a certain self-discovery aspect that they have to find within themselves. And so there's a lot to take in when you're trying to figure out who you are. One of those things is trusting yourself and trusting who you are and what you feel. There's a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings that sometimes get shut down, that get suppressed, that get criticized and stowed away over time. And sometimes those come up and they seem overwhelming. And some of what I've been experiencing recently has been a lot of kind of confusing stuff. I've felt a lot more confident with myself and assertive and being able to make choices. I've had a hard time making choices for a long time. Just very indecisive and unsure of myself. And being able to feel that was nice, but then I kind of slipped backwards and started doubting some of the decisions I was making, kind of unsure how to move forward. But it doesn't really matter. If I lose ground, the fact that I was able to experience something different, something that I'd never experienced before, means that I'm making forward progress. And I've been making so many different leaps and strides. There's some things that I never have done before that I've been doing now. I've been much better at setting boundaries for myself. I've been setting boundaries with people that I haven't been able to do before. Saying no was something that was very difficult for me, and I'm able to say that. And all these things that I'm learning how to do, exploring shamanism, exploring setting boundaries, exploring just being me and having a space to be able to work with that, doing crafts. I've got a garden over here. I made this drum here the other day, actually just a couple days ago. Just trying stuff and just doing things has helped me to discover myself and to go on a journey and learn more about me. And that's something that will probably go on throughout my whole life. I think based on what I understand from what other people have said, there's always sort of this process of self-reclamation, of basically rediscovering ourselves, or understanding who we are better and knowing how to move through the world in a better way, and learning to trust ourselves more. There's so much to us, and the more that I move through this life, the more I understand that there's always more layers. There's so many things that are in this world and in this universe that it's impossible to even come close, to understanding, let alone overcoming everything that we experience in this lifetime. And what I mean by overcoming is letting go of some of the traumas, some of the stuff that has happened to us, moving more into a loving and forgiving state. That's something that takes time, and it's a lot of work, and we work on ourselves, we work with other people, and it just keeps going. And it's good that it does keep going, because it makes it more interesting, I guess. Sometimes I know there's a lot of people out there who are suffering quite a bit, and they're in a lot of pain, and you know, I would never wish that upon anybody, for sure. But that's the world we live in. It's not an easy life, that's for sure. But I think, based on what I've learned in my experiences, I think that we chose to come here. I think that every soul chose to have this experience for whatever reason they had, you know, whether it was to grow. It's pretty much, from what I understand, it's pretty much always to grow or to learn something. And some of those lessons are hard. So again, I didn't really give you guys much time at the beginning of the video to sort of reflect and to think about where you are right now. But I just kind of shared where I am right now, what I'm working on, and sort of my transition of letting go of some of the things that I have been afraid of to some degree. I've never done anything with my hair. I haven't gotten my hair cut yet, but I want to like put highlights in my hair and, I don't know, do something different. You know, I've always just kind of gotten the same haircut. And part of that is because, like, I know my mom doesn't really approve of it, but that's something that I've let go of now. You know, I'm understanding that I need to be me. So, you know, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want to be. I don't know where you are in your journey. But maybe take some time to think about where you are in your life, what's going well, what are you proud of in yourself? What is something that you've been doing recently that is like something that you may not have done 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 1 year ago, but you're doing it now, and it's something that is helping you in your life? What's something that you're currently working on? What's something that you are maybe struggling with? Maybe something that is confusing, irritating, frustrating. What is that? What purpose does that serve, and where is that possibly going? Is there a lesson in that? Is there something that is working through that? Is that going to lead to some kind of new insight, some kind of new revelation? Maybe you don't know what that is yet, but what is that frustration? What is that that struggle? And where would you like to go? Who's the person that you would like to be? Usually the people that we admire, usually the people that we really have a lot of respect for, those are the people that we actually are at the true level, because that's what we idolize. That's what, like, we love. So part of us wants to be that. So maybe, you know, look to the people around you that inspire you, that make you, you know, that you want to learn from. And it may not be someone you know. It could be somebody that you see on TV, or maybe someone you've read about, or maybe it's a musician and their story and the way they portray their art. So those are just some things to think about, you know, just to reflect and to find what's going on with your life right now, and just to move into that and appreciate the things that you have accomplished. I think that's important, and to recognize those, but then also being able to realize the struggles that we're dealing with right now, or maybe you don't have any struggles right now, which is, you know, sometimes we're in that state, and it's great. It's great to enjoy that state. You know, you don't need to create problems for yourself. If you're feeling good right now, I'm sure they'll find you, as they always do in this life, from my experience. So that's I guess that's all I have for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you'd like to see more videos by me, you can check out my channel, Informal Inquiry. And if you'd like to be notified when I post new videos, make sure to click the bell button so then you get notifications. And feel free to leave a comment or a like or dislike below. Any feedback is appreciated. So as always, guys, make sure to take time for yourself and to seek your truth. I'll catch you guys.